Hello, I'm Danny. I'm a health writer and researcher, and I'm currently completing a master's in nursing. So I spend a lot of time thinking about what actually changes health outcomes and not just what people notice as a problem. And sleep is a big one. It affects mood, focus, pain, appetite, resilience, and pretty much everything, really. So today I want to talk about the gap between tracking sleep and improving sleep because we now have a lot of data, but often the nights can still feel the same. So this seems to be the modern morning dilemma. People wake up, they check their phone for an app score, and then they get the same result. And you're met with a neat little graph and a tidy summary telling you what you already suspected, that you haven't slept very well. Even if you only half trust the numbers, this can still get under your skin, and sometimes you can feel okay, and then you see the score and suddenly you're second guessing your whole night, or start the day feeling behind before you've even had a chance to have a coffee. I'm not anti-tracking per se, but tracking can be useful and it can certainly help you spot patterns such as alcohol or traveling or late meals. This will show up in the data and stressful weeks show up. It can be validating. If you've ever been told, you're fine and you're seeing a pattern written down, that can be a relief. So yes, tracking can help. But the issue is that noticing isn't the same as changing. And this is the problem in plain English. Tracking shows what happened, it doesn't change what happens next. A score can tell you that you woke at 3 a.m., it can tell you the night was restless, it can even tell you how many times you were awake, but it doesn't guide you into how to shift the signals and how to create sleep. That's where people get stuck. They're not missing information, they're missing a next step. And sometimes tracking makes sleep harder. The more you check, the more alert you become. Sleep is one of those areas where effort and control can backfire. In sleep clinics, there's a term for this, orthosomnia. It's the chase for the perfect sleep based on wearable data. You don't have to be obsessive for this to happen. If you've ever felt okay until you saw your score, you've experienced it. The score becomes a verdict and your body reacts like it's being graded. This is why sleep is harder to fix than things like steps or calories. Sleep isn't performance, it's a state that shows up when conditions are right. It depends on timing, sleep pressure, and your nervous system state. Timing is your body clock, sleep pressure is how much drive to sleep you've built up across the day, nervous system state is how awake you are. When those are out of sync, sleep becomes fragile. Stress, pain, hormonal shifts, medication effects, breathing issues, irregular schedules, any of those can keep the system in lighter, more breakable mode. And a graph really can't solve that. So what actually helps in real life? I like simple experiments you can actually stick with. Here's one for 2 weeks. First, keep your wake time within the same 60 to 90-minute window most days. It anchors the body clock and helps build steadier sleep pressure. Second, add one small wind down cue that you'll repeat. Not a perfect routine, just a reliable signal, a shower, dimmer lights, a short walk after dinner, 10 minutes without anything that winds you up. And third, if the score is making you tense, stop checking it daily, look weekly, or take a break from tracking for a while. The goal is calmer nights, not better looking charts. This is where Somni fits in. Most wearables are observational. They estimate what happened overnight and give you a score. Somni is designed to actually do something at bedtime. It reads brain activity using EEG-based sensors. Then it runs a short bedtime session using gentle personalized stimulation called TACS. The simplest way to think about it is that it's trying to support the downshift into sleep, not just report on how your night was. And this matters for a lot of people. If sleep has turned into should I or shouldn't I take medication, Somni is aiming to offer another route. I'm not saying it replaces medical care, but it's positioned as a non-drug option that supports the brain settling at bedtime. It also describes a drift back option for your middle of the night wake-ups, a short session you can trigger if you wake without grabbing your phone, which is very useful because light and scrolling can wake up the brain even more. They also frame it as a process that adapts over time. There's an early mapping period, then personalization across multiple sessions. The idea is that it learns your patterns rather than treating everyone's sleep as the same. And if you're someone who's already tracked for months, already knows the problem and wants the next step which feels practical, here's where this kind of tool makes sense. So if tracking has helped you spot patterns, keep it in that role. It can be a useful tool. But if you've been tracking for months and the story isn't changing, that's the sign to move from measurement to something that actually shifts the conditions for sleep. For some people, that's CBT, which is the first line of behavioral approach recommended for chronic insomnia. For others, it's addressing pain, breathing, hormones, stress, load, or medication effects. Often it's a combination of steady timing and a better downshift. Now, for some people, it can also be a tool that's designed to support sleep physiology at bedtime rather than just scoring the night afterwards. Remember, sleep improves when the plan changes, not just the data. Thanks for listening.